Hello, friends. I'm so happy you're here. Today I am talking about peeling away the layers of core wounds, unpacking them, getting deeper. If you're new to this channel, if you're new to me, my name's Lauren, and I am learning how to heal my chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue by healing early life trauma and wounds. And I'm sharing it with you in hopes that I can help you heal your past, to heal your body. So as I said, then the last few weeks, the last few months, oh my gosh, it's been a while since I've been dealing with this one wound. And in my experience, this is kind of what it is. I mean, when you get really to your core wounds, you have to sit with them for a while. They have to brew, and you sort of take these layers off of them. You're peeling this onion, and you've got to unpack it. And so that's what I want to talk about today. The core wound that I've been dealing with most recently, since I came back from this amazing trip to Arizona, where there was just so much healing. I learned so much about myself and spiritual healing. And when I came back from that trip, I have been having sort of repercussions ever since, but good, because as you will hear, as you've heard me say so many times, triggers are gifts. They are your gifts. They're gifts from your soul to you, saying, right here is what you need to heal. You can do it or you cannot do it, but I'm showing it to you whether you want to or not. And I believe that when triggers are shown to you, when you are being triggered, not only is it your soul telling you that this is something that needs to heal, but it's also saying you are ready to heal it. And this one core wound has been triggered over and over and over again in the last 3 months. It's been triggered all my whole life, but it's got a different sense to it this time. It feels like it's time to heal it. And so, did I say the core wound it's self-loathing? And I know so many of you can relate to this wound of self-loathing. I mean, it's like, don't we all have some of this? I don't know. Unless you somehow got through your childhood unscathed, I don't know who can do that. But especially if you're watching this channel, that's not true, because if you have a chronic illness, particularly chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue, there are emotional components to your illness, and I can't say whether it's your root cause or not. It's my root cause. Because as I heal the emotional wounds, I get better. Simple as that. And I tried everything else for years, and I just wasn't getting better. I would get minorly better. I would stabilize a little bit. I mean, the things shifted, but nothing moved the needle forward of actual healing, of actually getting more vitality back, until I started healing the core wounds. And you can do this too, and you can do this. You can get your vitality back. It's slow for me, but I'm sharing it with you in hopes that you can do it faster. Faster and easier. So the thing that's been sitting with me for months is self-loathing. And I have had surging up of my old food addiction. So for me, my food addiction is one of my key symptoms of the self-loathing. It's a way that I cope. And the food addiction started even before chronic fatigue for me. So chronic fatigue for me started 10 years ago when I was 23. But the food addiction started in high school almost more than 15 years ago. And it was really intense. I had an eating disorder for 6 years. And I was able to heal it enough, heal heal the parts of me, the wounds, some of the wounds that were making it worse enough that the eating disorder, I slowly was able to make progress on the eating disorder, and that, you know, what's labeled as an eating disorder ended, but the disordered eating never really ended, because I was always using food. When that wound, I didn't know it was happening, but when that wound was triggered for me in some way, I used food. Sweet and salty, but mostly sweet food. It then, there were a few years that the whole eating issue went down, and I wasn't really even very aware of it. It was very background, because I had all of these GI symptoms, which I'm sure you have as well. If you have adrenal fatigue or chronic fatigue, it basically always comes with GI problems, because the gut takes so much energy to function. And so that's one of the first systems that when your mitochondria are going offline and you're losing energy, your gut is one of the first things to weaken, because it takes so much energy, as I said. So muscles, brain, gut, liver. I mean, those are really energy consumptive processes in your end organs in your body. So I'm sure you've dealt with GI issues. So I had so many GI issues that my diet became extremely restricted, and there wasn't any room. I couldn't, the pain of eating in any sort of disordered fashion, of using high fat, high sweet foods, I had to cut out all sugar, because the pain of doing that became worse than not being able to eat those things. It just, I had to eat that way. And so, you know, my weight stopped being an issue. I was able to stay to the weight that I wanted to be at easily, because all I was eating was meat and vegetables, and it wasn't an issue for a long time. But in the last 6 months, it has become an issue again. Even though my diet in some ways is more restricted than ever, because I can't eat oxalate food anymore, foods with oxalates anymore. And yet, some symptoms of my eating patterns have been raging up for no apparent reason. Nothing from the external. It's from the internal. It's my soul. I believe that it is my soul putting something in front of me and saying, you're ready to heal this now. It's time to heal this now. Now, I say that in a compassionate, loving voice, because that's what souls are. But it doesn't feel compassionate, and it it feels like torture. When these things come up, when you are triggered, when some feeling of self-loathing, that even if it's not identified as self-loathing, and it's taken me a long time to identify what it is, that does not feel like love and compassion. It does not. It feels awful. It feels like, oh my God, this is back. This again. I thought I had dealt with this. I thought this was over. This again. I can't. And this is where I go. This is I can'ts. That's a symptom of my helplessness wound. But I feel like I can't deal with this. This is too much. And it's not true, because my soul is presenting it to me. So that means I can heal it. I just need the perseverance to do that, and the tools and everything that I've learned. And again, I'm sharing this story with you because there's something, this is the process of things being triggered in you, things that are, these wounds that are coming up, and it's our job, it's our gift from our soul, and we have to unwrap that gift. We have to, and the unwrapping and the unpacking can be really challenging. It can be painful. It can feel brutal, just because it's the thing that you've been running from. Your inner child has been running from, but your inner child knew that she or he could not feel back when she or he was a child, when you were a child. And so it feels life-threatening. It feels like, this can't be, I can't feel this. But you can, because you're an adult and you have these amazing tools and adult emotional capacities. And so you can. And so I'm sharing this with you as an example of how you can unpack hopefully help you unpack whatever your core wound, and it might also be self-loathing, but it's probably going to manifest in some other way. And yes, disordered eating is not a direct symptom of chronic fatigue, but it is definitely related. And the self-loathing, I know, is related to a bunch of my chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue symptoms. The ones that, these wounds, that it's in my root and sacral chakra. So it's like everything, all of the symptoms that you're getting, including muscle weakness, heaviness, and the water retention and everything that's related to the sacral chakra, and the feeling unsafe. And I mean, all these are related, but the disordered eating for me is sort of, it's something that I haven't dealt with all the, this whole process. I believe it is your soul taking you on a spiritual awakening and telling you this energy that has been stagnated in your body for your entire life cannot stagnate anymore. It is time to heal it. It is time to move it. And so it's going to bring up everything. I got the goosebumps of truth when I said that. It's going to bring up every wound that you haven't healed. I believe that this is true. When you start on this process of healing, it's going to bring up everything. And you might not be able to see how it's related to your illness, but it is. And the disordered eating is just another symptom of the same wound that is a core part of this illness. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. So one of the most noticeable symptoms of something that's happening within me, some self-loathing thing that's coming up, the first thing that I notice is I want to eat. It doesn't feel like I want to eat. It feels like I must eat. And it's taken a long time to be able to tell. I still struggle. I mean, to tell, am I hungry, or is it emotional eating, or is it hunger? And then, if you have a lot of GI symptoms, you also get, weird changes in hunger sensations and being satiated, changes in your ability to feel satiated. I've been working on this core wound of self-loathing for the last 3 months, at least. More, but it sort of got accelerated in the last 3 months since I went to Arizona, because more things were triggered about it, revolving around it. And in past videos, I've called it the big kahuna. This feels like the big kahuna. This feels like self-loathing is like this it's such a core wound that there are so many layers and so many facets of it, and it's connected to so many symptoms and so many aspects of this illness. And so it's not something that you can heal just by identifying that it's self-loathing and then giving yourself love. It's just not that simple, and that's why I want to unpack it more. While I was taking a shower the other day, I realized an aspect that I haven't really thought about to this self-loathing, because self-loathing is not it's not an emotion. It's an experience. And in order to heal this stuff, you've got to get to the core wound, not just the experience. And self-loathing often feels like it's such a dark, and it feels like such a core energy, and it is, but it's not the wound. The wounds are always about love and safety. And obviously you can see how self-loathing is related to love, of course. And love is related to safety when you're young, when you're a small child. Love equals safety, because you need love from your caregivers for them to take care of you. And I've talked about this failure to thrive, that if babies are not physically held, they will die. And so physical love means survival. And so I talk about it in this way because of the chakras, because the root chakra is often talked about with security and safety, and the sacral chakra is often talked about with love and relationship with others and self. But they're connected. They're not two separate. They're not just two separate balls of energy. They're also connected because there's safety and there's security and there's love, connected, intertwined in both of those. And I've said before, most trauma, early life trauma, is contained in the first two chakras. So you can see how, of course, how self-loathing is directly related to that. But there's still some unpacking to do. I mean, clearly because my symptoms are not gone. So I realized in the shower the other day, a facet of love is being valued, because you need to feel important and significant and valued to feel loved. There's one and the same in some ways, not so in others. There are differences, but they're so part of feeling loved is feeling valued, because if you are loved, then you are valued. And so value and significance really plays an important role, because I was thinking about what are the aspects of me and my personality that I have believed have made me valuable. So one of the aspects of the core wound for me, and maybe for you, is that from one of your parents or from one of your caregivers, you made a conclusion that you were not valuable. You were not significant to them. You were not loved the way you needed to be loved by them. And that created an enormous sense of insecurity. And I do not use that word lightly. Lack of safety in the world. And a lot of people, especially very sensitive people, highly sensitive people, especially empaths, take that message and point it to themselves. A lot of children do this because it's safer to do that. In some ways, it's safer to put it on yourself. You turn that inward to mean that I am unlovable. I am not valuable. I am not important. I am not significant to everyone. To the other, you may have been to one of your caregivers, and you may have gotten all kinds of messages from one caregiver that you were important, you were loved, you were cherished, but from the other one you didn't. And that, or from neither. Or from both. But I'm guessing if you got both, you wouldn't be watching this channel. Because I believe this is where the core wounds that result in chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue come from. These core wounds of being loved and valued and feeling safe. Because not having that creates so much, as I said, insecurity, unsafety in the world, that the world becomes unsafe. And there creates so much fear. Fear in the world, fear of you being in the world, feeling like you don't know. You don't know in your core that you're loved and you're safe. And so your adrenals are going to be taxed all your life. Because you are unconsciously scared to death. And it doesn't feel like fear. It doesn't feel like fear. Because when you've been afraid since you were a little one, your body just gets used to that, as that just feels like being alive. That just feels like, oh, this is just me. This is just the way. Doesn't everybody feel this way? You get accustomed. Bodies adapt. Of course they adapt. They adapt to whatever experience you're having in a chronic way. And so if you're chronically in fear and everything from your world is threatening because you don't have that core sense of self, of being loved and safe, then the whole world is threatening, and you're going to end up with a chronic fatigue syndrome of some kind. This is what I have learned. This is my belief. I'm not saying it as fact, but it is what I have concluded from my own experience. And the difference, and adrenal fatigue in particular has a very core piece of fear. And think, because it's about your kidneys, it's about your adrenals, and those are your fear. It puts you into that sympathetic state, that survival state all the time. Of course they're going to get exhausted. Of course they're going to start shutting down. They're saying, we can't do this anymore. You're going to have to calm down. I mean, you're going to have adrenal. You're just going to have adrenal problems. If you are in fear state because the whole world is threatening to you. Your body can only sustain that for so long, for so many years, so many decades. It's incredible that it can actually sustain it for as long as it can. Chronic fatigue has less of a fear prominence. There is definitely fear in there. These are all my beliefs. This is all my conclusions based on my experience. But I believe that chronic fatigue has fear components for sure, but they're less prominent than core wounds around helplessness and powerlessness. And if you cringe when I say that, that's a good indication that you do. By the way. Because because the things that you repel the most viscerally, the things you hear, the things you experience, the things that you experience that you repel and are aversive to, are disgusted by the most viscerally, is a good indication that something inside of you that you don't want to see. It pains me to say that because I know, oh my gosh, I know the pain. I know the pain of realizing that something that disgusted me was in me. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to unpack that stuff more in another video, but unpacking this stuff about values. So start to think about for you, because these core wounds are in love and safety, start thinking about, what have I decided? What did I decide as a little girl or little boy? I always say little girl. Whenever I'm thinking about myself, I say little girl. Whenever I'm thinking about my son, I say little boy. I'm so sorry. That's so self-centered of me. But we all do that, hopefully, right? I'm sorry. So what is it that your little girl or little boy self believed that you had to be in order to be valued in the world? Because when you're valued, you're first valued, then you're loved in some, that's kind of the way I think about it. You have to be valued first before you're loved. I mean, for me, it's all the places that I have like these wounds. I feel, and that might be true for you. You know what? I have, and I don't know if this is true for you, but I have always had so much challenge around my self-image, my body image, my face image. I know it's part of body image, but you know, when I talk about body image, I'm talking about weight. I'm talking about the way that my body neck down appears, and then I'm going to separate the way my face looks too. But it's everything about the way I look. It's not just my body and my face. It's about how I present myself. I need to be clean. I need to smell good. These things sound normal, but there's an extremity to them that that someone will stop caring about me, loving me. They will think less of me. They will value me less if I don't smell good, if I don't look good, if I don't make them feel good, if I'm not there for them, if I don't put their emotions first, put them first, put their needs first, they will value me less because I don't make them feel good. These are beliefs. These are all beliefs, and people will value me less when I don't look pulled together, when I look oily, dirty, when I don't smell lovely, when I don't look lovely, when I don't exude the experience of loveliness to people. I mean, it's like, when I say it, it's like, it's so absurd. But I had this belief that those were needed in order to be valued. And it wasn't just that. Another really important aspect for me was my intelligence. That people need to perceive me as intelligent, but not like a know-it-all. As a result, the universe placed all these opportunities for me to see that these were wounds for me. And as this illness has progressed, those, as I didn't heal them, the longer that I was in them, think about what in your life has this been similar to? The longer that I went in my life that I didn't heal these things, more things in that area started to show up. So for me, it might have been weight gain, chronic acne. Chronic acne, I believe, especially for empaths and highly sensitive people, it's not just about your gut health. It's not just about the stuff you put on your face. It's not just about eating sugar. It's the stuff that you put in your mouth. It's not about those things. It's that reminds me of it's like the external things, the external answers, the physical answers. No, for me, and maybe for you, the answer, the core answer, while those all things contribute, that's not the core reason that you have this chronic condition of some kind or symptom, this chronic symptom. It's energy. It's the energetics. And the energetic component of acne, I learned fairly recently, has an aspect of self-loathing. And I was like, oh my God, of course. Then of course I have chronic acne. I mean, it's odd that I'm talking about it today because my complexion is remarkably good today, thank goodness. But I've struggled my whole, from teenage to adult life, and it just got worse. But it's specifically self-loathing about I believe that it's about, for me, it's about believing that I'm valued because of my looks. And so there are aspects of my experience on this planet that have not allowed me to look perfect like I want to look. I want to look perfect because if I look perfect, this is my inner child saying, if I just look perfect and sweet and angelic and, then everybody will like me. And not just like me, they will love me. I will be valued in the world. And all of this stems from not feeling valued by one of your parents as a child. The same is true for my brain. I started running up against severe problems with my cognitive functioning in junior high and then high school. And in high school, I was diagnosed with a learning disability, which, to be honest with you, looking back, I definitely had, from a clinical point of view, I definitely have a learning disability. But what is that learning disability caused by? Is it actually the way that my brain formed? Is it really about genetics? What caused that learning disability? From what I've learned in this illness and what I believe now, it is the progression of having this idea that my value is in my brain. It's how my brain works. And I had not healed that wound for enough years that it started to show up. And as my illness progressed, the brain fog, it got worse and worse and worse. There was a period in 2013 when the brain fog took over my life. And I had a terrifying 3 to 4 week experience when I could hardly speak. The brain fog was so intense. And to me, these are all symptoms. These are symptoms that are showing up because you have a core wound about your own sense of safety, self-love. And if you're a highly sensitive person, this stuff can't stay. And it's your soul saying, there's a wound here, there's a wound here, there's a wound here. I'm going to show you this way, I'm going to show you this way. It's still here, there's a wound here, there's a wound here. And I'm going to keep telling you, And if you don't listen, I'm going to have to get louder and louder. And then louder, I'm getting so many goosebumps. My intuition is telling me that this is true for me. And I'm sharing this because it could be true for you. Think about your chronic symptoms. What could they be telling you? What could they be telling you about your core sense of self? What are they telling you? What, if they were a message from your soul, what would they mean? This takes a lot of unpacking. As I've said, I've been unpacking the self-loathing thing for a long time, but in a very concentrated way in the last 3 months. And I've made progress. And you can too. Because when you see something, as soon as you see it, then you can use these tools of compassion and love and sort of these mantras or these sayings that I like to use, and talk to yourself in this soothing parenting voice that I've talked about in other videos. It's so helpful. And just say, it's okay. I see you. I see you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And start talking to your inner child, your inner girl or boy. When you see these things, or you could do it even when you just feel like crap and you don't know why. You could start talking to your little one inside of you and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I love you. I love you. And if you hit something, you will start to cry. You will have emotion come up by one of those. So, and then the fourth one is thank you. So that's part of a Ho'oponopono, I don't know how to pronounce it, prayer. And you say it over and over and over again. And so it's those four components. It's, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. You're thanking your inner child for creating this belief, because they created this belief to protect you. And you always remember that no matter what comes up from your inner child, whatever message comes from your inner child or your soul, it was an act of protecting you. Sometimes it can be hard to see, well, how is that protecting me? It's causing me torture now. It's not protecting me, it's harming me. But it protected you as that little self that had so little protection. She or he needed a mechanism to protect him or herself in the short run. Because then as an adult, you don't need that anymore. In fact, yes, it is harming you as an adult, but you have the ability to see it, feel it, and heal it as an adult. And that's what you guys, you and me, are learning how to do, right? We're learning how to do this together. So I wanted to talk more in depth about the things that I'm thinking about. And no emotion came up for me today when I said those things, but I said those things the other day in the car, and oh my gosh, the welling of emotion. And as I probably have said before, it is extremely difficult for me to evoke emotion. Sadness. Anger comes pretty easily. But anger, it's the kind of anger that's not like productive anger. It's the anger that's like, I'm suppressing sadness with this anger, and I'm just going to use anger to show it. It's not core anger. I have not learned. I know that I have some core anger. I don't know exactly what it is at, who, at, what it is towards. And I don't know if I've gotten there, if I'm there yet, and if I haven't poked at that yet. I had a lot of anger healing before. I'll talk about that in another video. But I don't know if I've gotten to the core of the anger. And that's what this whole process is about, is getting to the core. Because the core is the root cause of your illness. Or at least the root cause of some of your symptoms and some of your experience. Because again, when you get to these, when you peel these wounds, when you peel these layers, heal these wounds that are hiding under there, oh my gosh, you're peeling away these things that have been concealing your true self. And so you start to see bits, more and more and more pieces of your true self. And your true self is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Your soul's in there. Your soul is in there. And you can have full access to it. And when you can access it, you can access your purpose in life, and you can feel connection to the universe and life is so much more fulfilling And so I'm gonna just keep encouraging you and encouraging me. I need encouraging myself. I have to encourage myself all the time. You can do this, Lauren. You can do this. I encourage you to do this. I encourage you to encourage you. Because this is tough. And you just have to just treat yourself like you want it, like you are your own child. It's okay. It's okay, Lauren. You can do this. Your name in the blank. And where I say Lauren, you say your name. You can do this. It's okay. You need to feel this. You're okay. You're okay. You can feel this. You can feel it. We can let this move. It's okay. Okay. That's all I have for today. I hope this is helpful to you. If it was, or if you have any comments, any questions, please put them down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.